Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Cosmic Starseed Academy and these weekly gatherings, Pleiadian channelings every Saturday at 7 p.m. Irish time. Today's date is the 1st of November 2025, and it is 7:30-ish here in Ireland, 7:30 p.m. here in Ireland. And oh, that's so beautiful, Dennis. Look. Can you unfuzz your unblur your background? For the cat. Oh, and Emily has one as well. Oh, so beautiful. You can see like her thoughts on her face. I don't know if anyone else can see that. Emily, yeah. She's glad of your company, Dennis. Um, okay, so a couple of things I need to share. So I would be very grateful for people listening in the future if you could please come and share donations if you're able to. That will really make a difference to me. I'd also like to invite you to these free groups, which they are free, on Saturday and Sunday, 7 p.m. Irish time. I am most likely going to restructure the Pleiadian Sunday school group at 7 p.m. on Irish time. And I'm still looking into that, still having a think and processing what changes I need to make to progress and move forward with that. Both groups are very different energy, which is something that's occurred very naturally. Saturday, there is more of a male energy. There is more warrior spirit. There's more oomph. There's more energy. Sometimes it can even feel a little bit kind of too powerful or over powerful, or I don't want to use the word chaotic, but sometimes it feels like there's such a like a fire energy. And perhaps that is even to do with Dennis, because Dennis does have a lot of fire energy. And all energies are needed. All energies are needed. And the Sunday group is more, it's more gentle, it's more feminine, it's more air, which is probably to do with me. And more of a gentle gentle energy. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why it is at all. Because often it's, you know, that often it's the same or similar people in both groups. So there doesn't seem to be any thing that I can identify other than the Pleiadians are bringing in different energies, which they've said before, they bring in different energies to every session that we do. So is there any questions about that before I get into it, the channeling? No? Okay. Oh, well, things are sometimes the information that I get blows me away, not just from the Pleiadians, because I also do mediumship. And I remember being on the platform one day. They call it a platform in the UK, when you're working from a spiritualist church, they call it the platform. And I remember back in the day when I was doing that, when I was on the platform and giving messages to the public or the audience. And I remember quite a few times I was just blown away by the information. And that has really increased for me over the years, especially over the last 5 years with the Pleiadians, with some of the things that they've shared in live channelings or live interviews. And some of them have been to do with the Florida landing, which was predicted 2, 3, or 4 weeks at the most by them. And I was listening back to a channeling last week, or the week just gone, where they were saying that things will get very difficult in 2025, and it's just going to be a continuation and a progressive of things appearing to be worse, and a lot of things happening in 2025, 26, and 27. And I see that, you know, when it was last year that I channeled that, and there wasn't as much going on then as there is now, and it's got very progressive. There's so much going on everywhere, every country, and it's so much is happening. We can't possibly keep up with even the new news subtitles or the video titles with everything that's going on. It is just it's very apparent, very obvious or evident that everything that's going on has been years in the making, years in the design. And I always come back to the basic foundation of my very first channeling, where they said, one of my very first channelings, where they said to me, at the heart of at the pyramid scheme of the governments, where the governments are the reptilian energies. I always come back to that. And people, I was watching an interview today by David Icke's son, Gareth Icke, and wasn't Sean Atwood, but Sean Atwood had it on his YouTube channel. And I think it was Ron or Rick or something. And they were talking about all the stuff that the government's doing. And yes, the government does horrendous things. But it kind of annoys me, and it really shouldn't, but it annoys me that people focus on the what I view is the small picture of different states or different counties or different areas or different councillors or different MPs or TDs, you know, making changes. What we really need to focus on and understand is that the governments are not at the highest level. I'm not talking about the local councillor really, or the local TD or MP, but I'm talking about the guys at the top who are reptilian, which includes the royal families. I always like to see the bigger picture, and it shouldn't, but sometimes it does annoy me that people are not waking up or realizing that who the governments are. Atlantis was invaded by an alien race, and that has been a continuum or a continuation since then, where we have been hugely affected by them as a race or a species, where our DNA was changed and adapted in a very negative way at the downfall of Atlantis, when we were invaded. So that is, if you're listening, you know, please take that on board, that these presidents and prime ministers are not even human. Like, they have no interest in humanity. They are not our saviors. They're not our friends. They're not interested in humanity. They have their own agenda. They have their own missions. They have their own things, events, situations that they're rolling out in order to keep us under the thumb, in control. And that filters down into things like the Jabberwocky and digital IDs and other events. So I really feel very strongly that we do need to stand back and look at the bigger picture, not focus in so much on individual things that the government's doing, but stand back and realize that the governments are reptilian, like, you know, um, yeah. So I'm going to pause there. Is there anything you guys would like to say about what I've said?
I
I'm so
do.
all of you here this evening, and every week you show up. Um, I'm so grateful. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I knew that. I knew they're all reptilian now. From when I was a little girl and now even more, I never liked Queen Elizabeth. Like, look, I honestly and still, I'm annoyed hearing about the royals family, seeing the royal family. I call them the royal reptilian reptoid family. I never liked them, and this, for years. And I'm like, I never met the Queen of I never like, why do I dislike them? But something in her, I hated looking at her. And I still don't look at the family. And you're absolutely right about a lot of reptoids are presidents, MPs, they all are, and their families, absolutely.
So thank you, Amira. So the question is, how do we take back our power? How do we come away from being ruled, being regulated, being like that they have we've given away our power. Um, so we need to take that back. We need to start creating communities. We need to start growing our own food, vegetables. I think Julia left us. She normally has to go early. Um, so yeah, we need to start pulling back, taking control. We can see what one of the ways that the big supermarkets have really taken control is to eliminate um, our own food um, growth. So the supermarkets started to pop up, and it became much easier to go and buy potatoes, milk, and bread than making it. Which is that's by design. And of now, of course, the prices are becoming so high that people, working people, people with jobs, good jobs, are struggling to maintain, um, to keep up with the hiking prices, which is happening everywhere. So that's something that we really need to do, is start growing our own food again and making our own bread, milk, cheese, chickens, eggs. We need all that kind of stuff. And I do see that happening. Um, we've forgotten how to hunt. We've forgotten how to build. We've forgotten a lot of things. We've forgotten a simple way of cleaning water or filtering water using different stones and sand and natural filters. We've forgotten all that. And that's deliberate. That's none of that is by accident. Um, so I see us going back to a more, especially the likes of us, I really see us all as being at the forefront of creating the new earth. And I do see some bad situations coming. Um, I do see civil war in several different countries, which is something that the governments are wanting to create. And they're really pushing that agenda in Ireland and the UK at the moment. And yeah, so we really need to unite, and there's a lot of fake AI being made at the moment, which is only ever going to increase. And I see AI as being a double-edged sword. And it's gonna happen to the point of, especially within the disclosure movement, people will end up getting texts or messages from loved ones, from friends, from lovers, from husbands, from wives, where it's a very negative message. Either they are breaking up the relationship or they're saying other very negative stuff. And I see them rolling out that type of messages and AI, and I see them doing it in the disclosure movement. I see them, they've already infiltrated the disclosure movement and the likes of us. And we can see that with some of the arguments or bickering behind the scenes most of the time, but it's becoming more public. The what is the word? The disharmony between some of those people. Let me take the situation with Laura Eisenhower and Elena Danan as a good example, because a lot of people will have heard of Elena and Laura. And I rarely take sides, but in this situation, I would absolutely take Laura's side.
Can you briefly summarize what happened? I don't know anything about the situation.
Okay. There is a disharmony or an argument between Elena Danan and Laura. What I know is, and I could be wrong, but what I know is that Elena stopped talking to Laura for God knows what reason. And I stand by Laura. I think often members of the disclosure movement do get infiltrated, and clones are very, in the governmental and the Hollywood, clones are very, they use clones a lot. And I can see why. Because if you're famous internationally to that Hollywood level, in order to keep up with demand, to have a public presence and to be in several places at once, I can see in that situation why they would be using clones. If I was in that situation, I'd be using a clone. So I think, and I don't think it stops at Hollywood. I think there are clones in different systems is the wrong word, but in different areas. So like for example, the likes of Bill Gates would be a clone, and yeah, and what's his name? Mark Zuckerman. I can never remember if it's Zuckerberg or Zuckerman. I'm sure there's a different timeline where he's called different timelines where he's called both. And there's even a video of him online where he does say, "When I was human," and that's a video that most people can Google or search for. And then he changes it and he says, "Oh, something along the lines of, oh, of course I'm still human. What did I say? That was a joke. I didn't mean that." But of course it's too late then. So I don't really want to go into it, Emily, but there's arguments between people in the disclosure movement. And I 100% back Laura up. And I don't like speaking about others publicly, and I rarely will do it. It's not something I want to get into, and I rarely will take sides, even between friends. And there are a few exceptions. So yeah, is there anyone want to say anything or questions or add anything, or yeah?
Do you suppose with all those DNA ancestry type tests that they've collected, that they've begun cloning everyone?
That's interesting. I'm going to let Dennis answer that.
No, that's not what that is about. That is an exercise in control and tracking, being able to know people's histories and connections, and also their vulnerabilities in their DNA. So the whole cloning isn't for us plebs.
You speak for yourself.
Yeah, it's a technology which has been shared by the elites and those for a long time have been serving a dark anti-human agenda. And so what is possible at the current time is that some of these clone technologies are being used by the Alliance. And so they are being used by a grouping which is challenging.
When you say the Alliance, darling, do you mean the White Hats?
Certainly.
Okay.
Yeah. So by a group of white hats, or perhaps even grey hats. I don't demand their hats are so white. So it is quite likely that there is currently a grouping of many nations that are challenging the traditional evil and satanic control that has existed. And it is likely that that group are using clones for their purposes.
The other thing I would like to add, and this is really important, the rhesus negative blood type is a direct lineage of Pleiadian bloodline. Rhesus negative is a direct lineage of Pleiadian bloodline. And so I can see the DNA companies, the ones that take the blood, I can see how they would, as starseeds, as Pleiadian hybrids, as Syrian hybrids, as Andromedan hybrids, as whatever hybrid you are, the Pleiadian hybrid is most obvious to me because the blood type is very different. And recently there's been some more, it's kind of been focused on recently with the rhesus negative blood type, where they don't know where it came from. It didn't evolve naturally, and that they talk about it in a more scientific way than I am able to. But I highly recommend people look into that. So what I will say is about the DNA companies is that they are looking for the ones that are different. They are looking for generational lineages of alien hybrids. I see that as being part of it. They're looking for information. They're looking for who is who. They're looking for lots of that kind of stuff. And they are, I don't see any of that as being positive. I did do my own DNA heritage through Ancestry Heritage or something like that. had I known at the time what it really was behind it, I would never have done it. Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay, hold on, darling. Anything else, Dennis, you want to add to that? Or Emily?
The significance of the genealogy, the significance of the DNA, which comes from a certain biological line and ancestry, is not as significant as it was. And the reason it's not as significant, so the dark side obviously have been strongly respecting some of the genetic lines for many thousands of years for reason. They put a lot of importance on it and saw power in that DNA. And DNA can have knowledge and power within it. But it's not so significant now because we are all soul. We are all the I am presence. And what has begun, it's not ahead of us, it has already begun, is there is a thinning of the veil. There we are coming to a very significant moment in cosmic timing where there is an expanding of higher frequencies. There is an increase in encodings and downloads because we have come to this divine timing of more light and of more consciousness. And so the DNA history is not so significant because now what is happening is the I am presences, which are ensouled, which are encapsulated in bodies or incorporated in a body. The I am presences are now directly upgrading the bodies, upgrading the DNA without having to belong to a certain genetic history to be able to unlock mystical, magical, divine powers. So it is this DNA history is becoming so less important now.
When Soma gets back, well, perhaps you have an answer to this too, but I heard from Sasha Stone about Rh negative blood types, and it was my impression that those were very rare blood types belonging to the Merovingian line, that if you had an Rh negative blood type, it would be hard to get a transfusion in the hospital because very few people have that kind of blood. And then my daughter mentioned Rh negative, but Rh standing for rhesus monkey, which I thought was absurd, but obviously they're spreading this, I'm going to call it misinformation, because I really don't believe that our DNA has monkey DNA in it. I mean, they could have injected it in vaccines and stuff like that, I suppose. But can you talk about the distinction between Rh negative royal bloodline or Pleiadian bloodline and this Rh negative rhesus monkey bloodline, that, or if it's not a bloodline, they don't talk about it that way. They talk about it, I think they talk about it as if the blood is maybe what's the word, well, for lack of a better word, infiltrated with this monkey baloney. So can somebody comment on that, Dennis, Soma?
Yeah, I have little to say on this because I'm coming back to my understanding that where this had much significance in the past, and some people claim indeed that that blood type shows a dark ancestry, and others there, like Soma, say it is a light ancestry. And but so seemingly it is of significance, but my understanding is that the significance of these bloodlines in a short space of time, where they held significance for eons and millennia, in the space of just a couple of decades now, they have lost almost all significance. Because
Why?
that is because in this time, the I am presence is directly able to connect to the more and the all. The I am presence, your essence, your individual, immortal soul identity, that essence of yours is able to contact knowledge, power, and love beyond limit, which is very forceful and creative. And so we are the saviors that we have been waiting for. This is a very different and new time. And so it has not existed before. 30 years ago, you wanted to reach enlightenment. It took a life of commitment and dedication, of being solitary and practicing strong ascetic discipline and separating oneself from the world to focus on this attention, to get this connection
But
with the
hold on,
divine.
hold on,
And
darling.
that
Hold on,
has
darling. I think I
all
just want to add.
changed.
I just want to add to that, babe. So I think that times are different, and I think what you're saying is very valid, very important. And I think back then, I know I was doing this in the 80s when I was growing up. I was very reclusive. I was in my room, not attending secondary school. I was reading books. I was meditating. I was doing all of that stuff. And I think that it was a foundation for where we are now. So I think what you're addressing is extremely important. I think it's very obvious that we're not in that space anymore. We're now bringing all of the esoteric knowledge that we learned then when we were being reclusive, when we were in the caves going back in Tibet, when we were more insular. Now everything is out in the open, and we are the ones who were back then doing the training of being reclusive, which sometimes we step into and out of now, given the energies and astrology and what's going on in the world. But most of the time we are still, even when we do that, even when I do that, even when I pull back from doing interviews or being, when I take time out for myself, I'm still always somehow in the loop of getting information out there. So I think what you're saying is very important. We are in different times, but I think my point is that energy back then was foundational to now.
Can you just before Amira's question, sorry, Amira.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let's slow down a bit. So, Dennis, would you please continue if there's anything you need to add to that?
Yeah,
And
and
then
I
Emily.
know Amira has a question also. It's more significant than that we, and of course we did. So we, as a collective of souls, have been evolved in evolving this time and space. But it's not just for decades. We, as immortal beings, fractals of source and divine essence, we saw the history before it happened. We saw the dangers. Mother, Father, God saw the risks of Earth being a free will planet and other forces being able to exercise control in it and force it into a negative loop and a matrix with dark control. And so before time, into the clock of the cosmos, we were involved in creating a plan that the sun would pass through a second sector of the cosmos and that there would be energies available to counteract the matrix that has got stuck here. And so, like, we, again, as immortal beings, as essence of divine, we were involved in the planning of putting the likes of Triae Atlas into our solar environment, so as there would be something which is helping cause a release and awakening and send energies here that will break up some of the negative and add to the positive. So we're involved in the whole thing. We are not victims here. I don't know, that's what I would say on that. Some others may have questions on it, and I know Amira has a question also, and then maybe Emily.
Well, mine is just related to the Rh negative thing. If I could just finish up with that notion.
Yes,
Oh.
please go ahead, Emily.
So I just thank you, Dennis, for explaining all of that. What is this nonsense that they must be teaching over here about our rhesus monkey tainting of the DNA that my daughter learned?
Then okay.
Have you heard of that over there too?
No, I haven't heard of the rhesus monkey, but when I say they, I'm talking about the powers that be deliberately are teaching false information in the schools. And Greg Braden talks about this quite a lot. They are teaching false science, false history, false math, false blood types. And even more than false information, they're deliberately inverting information and giving false information out. We've seen that over the years when we look back at some of the health information and the information on food and the food pyramid. We are not supposed to be eating 3 meals a day. Our bodies have adapted to that and got used to that, and we now do that, most of us. But so I would say that that's fake, Emily. The monkey thing is just nonsense.
It's very likely a form of denigration, so that they create a sense of, you know, we're faulty, we're not powerful, we're, you know, tainted. or dirty, whatever. It's probably just, you know, part of their scheme to denigrate us, is what I imagine.
Yes, it's absolutely. It's always it's also very disempowering when you hear the word monkey, rhesus negative monkey. That is them laughing at us.
Yeah, insulting on purpose. Yeah.
And trying to disempower and teaching fake false information. What I've been shown is that the Pleiadians created monkeys and then created us. So we coincided with them in the beginning. That's something I've been shown. So we do have some of their DNA, but you know, the universe is teeming with life. There have been thousands upon thousands upon thousands of creations made. Monkeys, humans, animals, all life was created somewhere. And the universe is teeming with life. There's been many experiments and engineered creations of us on this planet, on various different planets and star systems, and there's a multitude of alien races, of light beings, of humans, of hybrids, of half breeds, half animals, half human. There's a lot of depictions in art on caves and various other objects or walls or etched into the Nazca lines, for example, that look like or sold to us as mythology, which is not mythology at all. If most stroke all of those beings existed at some point. Some of them went wrong. There's a very, well, I say very well known, that's not kind of true, but amongst the likes of us, many know that there was a bull that was created that went wrong. Many experiments have gone wrong, and there's a supposedly a mythological story, which I don't believe is mythology at all. But there's a story of a bull that was created, and the bull was so full of rage and anger that they had to kill it. They had to destroy it because they couldn't handle the enormity of the rage that this bull had. So there's been many experiments, and there are many different blood types. There are many different skin colors. There are many different facial features where we look very different to each other. And that is not something that is not evolution. You know, Greg Braden often talks about evolution and how evolution is limited to the animal species. We don't have that, and this is Greg Braden that talks about this. We haven't evolved. We were engineered, and he obviously is a great mind, great scientific mind, and goes very in depth into that. So I recommend watching some of his videos where he talks about evolution and monkeys and our DNA, and it's been proven now in science that our DNA did not evolve, that we did not evolve. We were interfered with is probably the wrong word, but we were because there's a kind of a sexual connotation there. But he said that we were our DNA was interfered with at a certain point in our history. We do not come from monkeys. We do not come from apes. So the whole subject is fascinating. Again, I highly recommend looking into Greg Braden, because I can channel the Pleiadians, but it is important for science to back up a lot of what I say and what others say to do with the esoteric subjects that I'm not able to articulate in the science vocabulary. You know, I'm able to do it. I'm able to bring information in from Ashtar and the Pleiadians, but I'm not a scientist. I'm not a researcher. I highly regard certain scientists and many researchers because of the time it takes. It doesn't take me time to sit down and channel, although it's taken me years to be able to actually bring it to you within minutes. But that is my whole, you know, that's my whole mission and my purpose is to, or part of it at least, is to be a channel for the Pleiadians. That's why I'm here. And everyone who's genuine in the disclosure movement, it has a similar mission to bring you information, and it's yeah. And I think a lot of people within the disclosure movement need to get on board with the channeling and also with the light language. I've seen some people publicly say some negative things about channeling or light language. And I think we need not exclude anything that brings us information, that brings us truth. So yeah. Anyone?
Yeah, I have my question now. Number one, the scientists did prove that we would have still been in the Homo erectus stage if it not the DNA's been modified. I'll say they modified their DNA, their essence with the Homo erectus and made modern man. That's my view. And anyways, I believe that. Another thing is, okay, so I have type A positive blood, and I'm sure my mother had positive blood because, you know, she wouldn't have been able to carry me. But I'm wondering, what do I still had Pleiadian DNA? Because when you channeled them, they said I had a lot from my mother, or and so would there still be, like, say in my family, or would there still be able to still be Rh negative people that I descend from?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have a very strong Pleiadian connection. And I would say that that blood type is there. It may, even if it's not being picked up, there's times I've gone to the doctor in the past and I've had tests, and it's not been to do with my DNA blood type. It's been other tests to do with my underactive thyroid or other things, a low deficiency in iron. And I have known absolutely that I have an underactive thyroid, that I have at times get low iron, and those have not been picked up by blood tests. At least that's the information that they've given back to me, that I don't have an underactive thyroid. Although the first information I got from them was that I did. So they absolutely make mistakes every day. And it's not, some of it is not even, well, some of it is not even deliberate, but I think a lot of the time they do withhold information from us deliberately, or give us false information deliberately. And that is sometimes deliberate or sometimes on accident. They tend to gloss over stuff a lot, that depending on who's doing it, because I think a lot of these companies that do tests, whatever tests they are, some of them are very nefarious, and they have very what is the word I'm looking for? Agendas. They have very strong agendas, some of them.
Well, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I have low iron. I've had on and off low iron deficiency anemia. I was low. I'm on the border. My thyroid is on the border of the low for years. My body temperature is cooler than the average. Like, my body temperature is cool. and my feet and my feet and my ankles, they're always cold. And they've checked it. I've had to, they're always cold. So my temperature is lower. My iron goes up and down. And, so that's what I've had. And the thyroid's always on the border of slow, I think. Thanks.
Well, I have something to chime in as well. From the cosmic perspective, you can see like where the Pleiades constellation is in your chart and then clue into your connections as well. So the Pleiades is at the end of Taurus, early Gemini. So if you have anything there, like definitely that's a signature, but then you can also see like, for example, my moon is in Aquarius and it's trining Pleiades and then trining Mars. So that's like a flow of energy that connects me in with that star system. And you can kind of like map um, your starseed connections that way too.
I am going to interrupt, not interrupt, intervene. I think that's amazing, Callie. Is it Callie or Carly?
Callie.
Callie, okay. Forgive me, sometimes I often mispronounce names, especially Amira's. But I would like to put a suggestion to you.
Yeah.
I would love to get my chart done by you in exchange for a Pleiadian channeling.
Yeah.
And would you like, can we do it online? Can we do it as an interview thing?
Yeah. We could either do a Zoom privately, or if you wanted to like share too, you could share it. But I'd love to do that for you.
Thank you. I would love that. Now, let's do
Yeah.
it publicly.
Yeah,
Um,
that sounds good.
and we can advertise your services as well.
Awesome.
Question, Kelly.
Yeah.
I've heard that normally they round up the birth time to the nearest like quarter hour or something, that they're not as particular in certain countries about the birth time as they are in others. Is that true to your knowledge?
I think it depends on the country. The birth time is super important because it determines like the your whole experience, like what sign is on the eastern horizon, which is your ascendant, and it creates your cross of incarnation. So to have an exact birth time is good. If not, like you can, still get a lot of information out of it. But yeah, if you know your exact birth time, it gives you a lot more information and then just like awareness to when transits happen. Because when planets cross that axis, like big shifts can happen in your reality.
Hi, yeah, I do have my birth time where I was born. I had two people do my chart. They all said Orion, and then, before, but I feel more close with the Pleiades. But my uncle and my great grandfather were named Orion, and I was born in Gemini. So you said the Pleiades kind of are close to the Gemini. So yeah, I was born in
Yeah.
LA. I know my birth time, but I don't know why I got a few readings that were connecting to Orion.
Yeah, Pleiades, at least from the Western perspective, Pleiades is at the end of Taurus, early Gemini, but Orion is at like from mid Gemini to the end of Gemini as well. And I think it's common to have connections with multiple, star systems and things like that. So it just kind of clues you into like what that energetic is like or how people in your world will show up, like from different like cosmic history.
I would like to add to that absolutely, for a long time I thought I just had Pleiadian energy, or DNA, because I'm also rhesus negative, but and it was okay for me to think that for so long because that was an introduction to being a starseed. But I've since progressed and learned that I also have Lyran and probably Syrian as well. And I think that's the same for everyone. When we have one, we have a multitude of them because we've had lifetimes, not just on the Pleiades star system, but we've had lifetimes on Andromeda, Sirius, Lyran is very strong with me as well. And so we're not limited to just one. we're never limited to just one. We've had lifetimes where we've been everywhere, you know. So I'm going to start the channeling, and Dennis, please will you do the prayers? Tonight has been lovely. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and Dennis has been sending me healing earlier, which has really helped me to realign. He hasn't said that, but I know he has been sending it, which has really helped me to realign. And I do feel very strong Pleiadian energies building literally behind me, and also the Lyran energies as well are very strong today. And I feel other energies, I'm not sure who they are, although they are loving light beings. I think it even might be Andromedan, who I haven't really I've had some experience with them, but not very much. More the experiences I've had with the Andromedans is seeing the energies or feeling the energies in other people, and also Dennis as well. So Dennis, darling, are you able to put your camera on and do the prayers?
Very good.
And you have to
So,
stand up and put the microphone to you.
yeah.
That is a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will say a prayer called the Law of One prayer, and I will then repeat it 2 more times. We are all one. When one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, I ask for the greatest good of all here concerned. I give thanks that this is done. It is so. And again, we are all one. When one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, I ask for the greatest good of all here concerned. I give thanks. This is done. It is so. We are all one. When one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, I ask for the greatest good of all here concerned. I give thanks that this is done. It is so. And a short I am mantra. I am the light. I am the love. I am the truth. I am. I am the light. I am the love. I am the truth. I am. I am the light. I am the love. I am the truth. I am. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. The sword of truth. As always, we are delighted to be here. And we bring in, this evening, we bring in strength, courage, warrior type energy, Lyran energy, Pleiadian energy. We're showing Soma an image of very clear-ish image of a sword, of courage, of strength, of truth, of love, of compassion, of integrity, of honesty, of humanity, humility, love for each other, love for yourselves as a species. We 6 months from now is also important. We've mentioned this a few times recently within the last month, although as we keep mentioning it, as time goes on, it goes to 5 months, 4 months, 3 months, 2 months, 1 month. But more or less 6 months from now, there is a major energetic shift. And if you look into your astrology, you will probably see this. Soma knows very little about astrology, which is interesting. But she does know that there are 13 months, not 12, which is another deliberate mistruth that has been put out there in order to keep you manipulated as a species, in order to lower your frequency, lessen your frequency, lessen your frequency, your information, your knowledge, your understanding, your abilities, your energy, your consciousness overall. And the 6 months is important from now because there is an unraveling, there is a step up in consciousness at this time. Between now and then, between now and the 6 months, you are unraveling like a ball of wool. You are unraveling, you are taking back your power, you are realigning, you are remanifesting, you are changing the trajectory of the powers that be that you have enabled for so long, eons of time. Everything that is happening in the universe is by design. We do not want you to hate these governments or hate the negative agendas. What we wish, what we hope for, what we see is that this is an evolutionary period where you get to discover, you get to learn, you get to change, you get to grow, you get to evolve into a higher state of consciousness because of these negative agendas. So in that sense, they are helping you, propelling you forward, helping you to evolve as a species collectively into a higher state of evolution, into a higher state of being, into a higher state of consciousness. You are in control and you get to decide individually and collectively of where you want to go, what you want to manifest, what you want to do, who you want to be. You are in control. You are in control. We are here. We channel through many of you. We walk among you. Soma was recently re-watching a video of a TV clip from 1970 something or 1980 something, where we came through on your TV screens. This video is still available to watch on your different social medias and your internet, where we shared a message. And the TV station was interrupted with a very genuine message from us. You are not alone. Your planet is not alone. Your species is not alone. Your loved ones are not dead, have not died. They just exist in a different reality, in a different realm, in a different dimension. They have moved above their bodies, but they still exist. Take back your power, take back your knowledge, love, compassion, truth. Focus on those things. Focus on abundance. Focus on abundance, whatever that looks like for you. It is different for everyone. Focus on the new earth, the new energies, the new you, the new beginnings, the new dawn, the new age of Aquarius. There are symbols etched into your lands, etched into caves, etched into rocks in Ireland and many different countries, many other countries, that when, thank you, that when these symbols have sound, thank you, have sound frequencies added to them, they are able to levitate large rocks. There are other things that are involved, but many of you are putting okay. Many of you are putting the pieces of the okay, hold on. Thank you. Many of you are putting the pieces of the puzzle together and realizing that your whole history, Antaria, dragons, dinosaurs, coexisting with man, many subjects are false histories, timelines, evolution, bloodlines, like you were speaking of earlier, DNA, astrology. The school systems were designed to give you misinformation. This whole situation of your planet, of life on your planet, has been orchestrated on a grand scale to keep the powers that be in charge. It is not a simple plan that was drawn up overnight. This plan took millennia, took eons. We've often shown Soma an image of a craft above Atlantis, where the beings, and we've shown her the beings on this craft, where the beings were designing a plan. And this plan did not occur overnight. And even at that time, when this plan was being drawn up, and this is new information for Soma, even at that time on that craft or crafts, when this plan was being drawn up, there was looking glass technology that was used at that time, where these negative beings were able to see beyond and into the future and see certain outcomes and patterns and predictions and possibilities. and they looked at ways to block every they looked at ways, thank you, they looked at ways to block every possible positive outcome. The one thing that these negative alien species or species cannot do, which you can, is to evolve your consciousness, raise your frequency, raise your energy, remember who you are, realign with source, realign with yourselves. You are source energy. You are the ocean. You are droplets of the ocean. You are the ocean. There is no difference between you and us. You are just a different form of us that we created of you. You have our DNA, whether it is written down in evidence or not. You also have other DNA, Syrian, Lyran, and many others, Andromedan. And some are not even known about or recorded or seen or spoken about. There are others, species that will be revealed to you that may surprise some of you. When we created humanity, at that time and previous to that, and even after that, we continue to create life in many forms, in many places, not on Earth, some on Earth. The dinosaurs did not suddenly just evolve. They were created. Can you understand the importance of what we are saying? All life on Earth was created, from the minutest to the largest being the dinosaurs, and the smallest being the smallest. All life everywhere was created. So it should not surprise some of you that there are craft above you, that there are craft below you, whether it's deep in the ground or deep beneath the oceans or deep beneath Antarctica and other places. These craft are seen rising from the oceans. They are seen above, moving in your skies. There are reports of Three-Eye Atlas, which is very real, which we spoke of recently. You are not alone. You have never been alone. You have been laughed at for your beliefs of alien races. You are not alone. We are not alone. Expand your mind. Expand your logic. Expand your teachings, expand your knowledge, expand your understandings. Research, read, listen, look into other informations regarding us, regarding everything. DNA, food, health, energy, your bodies, your blood, your food, your DNA are all interwoven and not separate. Your water is not separate from your health or your DNA. Your food is not separate from your bodies, your DNA, your blood. Things that you put into your body affect your DNA, affect your moods, affects your body, affects your organs, affects your motivation, affects your abilities. There are some things that are very good for you to eat, very positive to your systems. And there are some things that have been designed that are very negative to your body systems. There are some foods that are sold as foods that are not food. Soma is thinking of some of the oils that are sold as oils, or some of the cookie doughs that contain antifreeze products within them. These are some of the things that Soma knows consciously, but there are many other things that she is also not aware of within the food. So we will pause there for today. We invite you to join us tomorrow, where we will bring a different energy, as we always do. Let us also invite you to ask questions that you may have, but we would invite you to only ask the urgent ones that you feel compelled to ask, in order to give this body that we are speaking through time to re-energize, recuperate. So please, and it is Soma that is including the word please. So please, we invite you to ask any urgent questions, or if you have anything you would like to share simply regarding what we've said this evening.
I recently learned a phrase I hadn't heard before, that we have immortal DNA. I don't know if it's more misinformation. The idea being that if we lose a limb, we can regrow our limb, but we just don't know how to. Is that?
That is true.
Will we ever remember how to do this?
You will do more than that. You will remember how to exist in a higher dimension, in a higher frequency, even without the need for food, even without the need for water, even without the need for air to breathe. You will remember a multitude of what you would call advanced knowledge, abilities, frequencies, ways of being. You came from a space, a time when you did not need bodies to exist. When we say we created you, what we mean is we created physical bodies, systems, life that souls could inhabit. But there was a time when souls did not need bodies to exist. And that still is true. That is where spirit goes when it dies. It does not need a body to exist. Thank you for your question. We've not gone into detail with that, but most likely we will. Should you ask us the same question in the future? We love you. Take back your power. And in Soma's words, enough already. Take back your power. We always include Soma in this. Let us take a break there.
Bye.
So welcome back, everyone. Tonight for me, has been very uplifting and lots of really great discussions. And it's great to hear everyone's perspective and viewpoint and opinions and beliefs and all of it. I've really enjoyed tonight. So thank you. I needed that upliftment and that boost. And thank you, Dennis, for the healing that you sent me, that you didn't tell me about, but you know I can always feel it, whether it's from you or other people. And please come, and if you're listening to this in the future, please come and leave a donation. Things are very tight at the moment, very difficult. And so that will really help me. So please come do leave a donation. I never like asking for help, especially when it's money, but even a small donation will help. And we also have these groups tomorrow, 7 p.m. Irish time, very different energy again, much more gentle, much more just feminine, more. I don't know why that is, but it's designed obviously by the Pleiadians, which I'm very thankful for, because it's nice to have a different energy on both days. So come and join us tomorrow, 7 p.m. Irish time. That's both Saturday and Sunday. I'll probably upload this in the next couple of days, so it's weekly groups that are free. If you can leave a donation, please do. And thank you so much, guys, for being here. Really love you.
Why don't you tell folk what services that you provide that can be valuable to them, that they can give you money for?
Thank you, Dennis. I always forget to I wish I'd been born a salesperson, because I'd be one of the Tates, but thank you, darling. So the services I offer are psychic readings and mediumship, and those are available to book on my website. My prices, which is somaara.love, and my prices are a good range of different prices, from 33 euros right up to 177 euros. So a good range of different.
Why should someone consider getting a psychic reading from you? What is it that you offer?
Well, that is such a great question, darling. Thank you for asking me. I have my readings are kind of off the scale. And the main reason for that is it's part of my mission, but also I had such a great training as a child. There was so much training I had in seeing auras, in sussing people out, who they were, in looking into their eyes, in reading their energy, reading their abilities, reading their soul, reading their Akashic records, actually, is what I'm doing. And even beyond that, I'm also reading their past lives and their connection to beings like the Pleiadians. So I also offer a starseed readings. So I do a lot of stuff, and I'm not a salesperson, but I'm one of the best psychic mediums that you'll meet. So, and I don't say that lightly. I've lots of testimonials on my website, somaara.love. So yeah, come and get a reading. And anything else I need to add, Dennis?
No, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I love you. I'm gonna go and have some food.
Awesome. Thank you, Soma. Great to meet you
Okay.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Night all.
Bye-bye.